Hello guys, my name is Shubham Shinde. Today is the first lecture of the lecture series on circular motion. In this lecture series, we are going to see angular velocity, time period, frequency, linear velocity, relationship between the angular and linear velocity. Then we are going to see angular acceleration, tangential acceleration and centripetal acceleration. We are also going to see the relationship between angular acceleration, centripetal acceleration and tangential acceleration, followed by numericals, wherein I'll give you numericals and you have to solve it as your homework. Okay, so let's start. So, what is a circular motion? Circular motion is defined as a motion of a particle in a circular pattern in which the distance of a particle p from the center O remains same. And it is true because whenever a particle travels in a circle, the distance of the particle from the center remains the same, and that is equals to the radius of the circle. Okay? So now we have understood what is the circular motion. Now we will see what is angular velocity. Up till now in the kinematics or motion in 1D, we have seen what is a linear velocity. The linear velocity is defined as the displacement upon time. But that displacement is a linear displacement and it is different from the angular displacement. So what is the difference between the linear displacement and angular displacement? Now we will see. So there was a point P and a point Q. So particle traveled from point P to point Q. This distance S or this displacement S is called as the linear displacement. But how is it different from the angular displacement? So whenever I draw a circle, now suppose a particle initially is located at point P and now it is going to be at point Q after some time t. So here, what is the linear displacement? So the linear displacement is given by the red line, which I'll show now. So this is the linear displacement or linear distance. In this case, the linear displacement and distance are approximately equal. But what is the angular displacement? What is the angular displacement? So the angular displacement, you know, the name indicates a displacement which is counted in angles. Angle is counted in degrees. So degrees will be when this is theta. So this theta here is the angular displacement. So I think you have got what is the difference between the linear displacement and angular displacement. Linear displacement is a straight line. It is measured in meters, kilometers or any other unit. But the angular displacement is different from the linear displacement and it is measured in steradians, radians or degrees. Okay, so I hope you have understood the difference between the linear displacement and angular displacement. Now moving on to the next point. What is angular velocity? So, we'll start kinematics of circular motion, wherein we'll deal with each and every topic. So the first is angular velocity. So this angular velocity is denoted by omega. So this term is called as omega. It is written as a curve W. Okay. So now what is a angular velocity? Now tell me, whenever you are seeing motion in 1D, what was the linear velocity? So I think the linear velocity which was given by V. What was its formula? Its formula was linear displacement which is s upon time taken. Okay, so how is it different from the angular velocity? Angular velocity, when I'll write, I'll denote it by omega. So that will be also equal to a displacement, but here the displacement is slightly different. Here the displacement is angular displacement, which we have seen previously, which is given by theta divided by time. So is time going to change? No, time is going to remain same, because time is time and time is irrespective of any frame or any other thing. So this is the difference between linear velocity and angular velocity. So I hope you have understood what is the angular velocity. Now I'll show with diagrammatically. So writing about angular displacements. So what is an angular displacement? Angular displacement is angle traced by the position vector with respect to some fixed point is called as an angular displacement. Now I'll draw a circle. Okay. Now suppose I have a particle or suppose any mass at point P initially at time t is equals to 0. Now suppose but I'll tell you one thing. So now I'll join that point P and this is center O. Okay, so this center O and P. So if I draw a line between the center O and P and give an arrow, so this line is called as a position vector. So why is it called a position vector? Because remember, this is a vector which gives the direction or the position of the particle. It has some magnitude which is equals to the radius of this circle, and it also tells me the direction. So why shouldn't it be called a vector? And yes, it's called a position vector because it has magnitude, it shows a direction, and it gives the position of the particle. Hence it is called a position vector. Now suppose after some time t, this particle moves to a new position which is q. Again, I'll draw a new position vector which will denote a new position of the particle. This is a new position vector at a new position. So what is the angular displacement? So angular displacement will be given by theta. So this is the angular displacement. So as we know, what is angular displacement? Angular displacement is the angle traced by the particle with respect to some fixed point. And what is that fixed point? That fixed point is O. Simple. So now we'll go to next point, angular velocity, and see it. So now we are going to the next topic, that is the angular velocity. So you have seen the velocity, that is the linear velocity in motion in 1D or kinematics. So what is the difference between the linear velocity and the angular velocity? So in the linear velocity, which is given by v, the formula is displacement upon time. So what is this displacement? This displacement is a linear displacement, like when I go from point A to point B. So this displacement is the linear displacement which we have in this formula. So this is slightly different in the case of angular velocity. In the angular velocity, the formula is omega, which is angular displacement upon time. So here the displacement is replaced by angular displacement, which is here measured by s, and here it is measured in the terms of theta. But the time remains same because time is irrespective of any frame or any other thing. So the time remains simply time. So this is the formula which you will be needing in the subsequent sections. Now we'll extrapolate this omega to a new height. So the formula which we have is omega is equals to angular displacement upon time. So what is this angular displacement? We know we have learned earlier, angular displacement is given by delta theta upon time delta t. So it will be clear if I draw a diagram. So this is a circle. Hope so it's a circle. Now the particle is at point P. After some time t, it goes to point Q. So the time here is 0, whereas time t is equals to t. And here is 0 degree and here is theta degree. So the change in angle is delta theta and the change in time is delta t. So we have written here. So this is the formula which will be required in the subsequent sections. Now this is a general formula in which delta t is considerable, or I can count delta t like 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 hour, 2 hour or any other. But what will happen if this delta t, that is the time taken by the particle to start from P to end at Q, is very small, like it is infinitesimal, like 0.00000001. So this is a very small timing and I can assume it near to be 0. So in such cases we require a new mathematical concept which is called as limits. So now we'll see what is the new type of formula we'll get when we apply limits. Okay. So we have omega is equals to delta theta by delta t. Now as I have told, again this is point P, this is point Q and this is point delta theta. But in this case the time required by the particle to travel from point P to point Q is very small. It is infinitesimally small, like 0.0000. So it's a very small timing and it is nearly equals to 0. So what will happen in such cases? In such cases we'll put limits such that delta t, that is change in time or time taken by the particle to start from P to Q, is nearly equals to 0, or in mathematical concept it is called delta t tends to 0. Okay. So now delta t tends to 0. In this condition, delta theta by delta t. So now we'll put the limits where delta t tends to 0. So in these cases, delta theta by delta t will be converted into d theta by dt. Simple. So this is the calculus form of the formula. So the formula finally becomes omega is equals to d theta by dt. Okay, so you have to remember this formula for your subsequent topics. So what is the unit of omega? So what is change in theta? It can be measured in radians, it can be measured in degrees, or it can be measured in steradians. And time can be measured in seconds. So unit is radians per seconds. Okay. So now we'll go to a next topic, that is frequency and time period. So what is a time period? We'll see it diagrammatically. So this is the circular path. The particle is again starting at point P. Okay. Now, and the fixed point is O. Now it is going to make a one complete round. Okay, it will go start from P. It will go and stop again at point P. In this way, it will complete 360-degree angle. That is 1 turn. So the time required for the particle which is starting from point Q to again end at point Q is called as time period. So what is time period? Time period is time required by the particle to complete one turn or rotation. So this is simply the time period and it is denoted by a capital T. Okay, so this is time period. Now we'll go to a very closely linked topic, that is frequency. What is frequency? Frequency is denoted by a small n. So what is frequency? Frequency is very closely linked with the time period. Again we will draw a diagram. Again the particle is starting from point Q, P. Again the particle will travel one complete turn. And again I'll ask a simple question, what is the time required for this? You'll tell it is equals to time period. So I can tell for one round the particle needs T time or time is equals to time period for completing the whole round. Okay, so now I ask what will be the time required or what amount of round will be completed in a unit time. What amount of round will be completed in a unit time, and that is frequency. Means I know that in time period T I complete one round, but I ask a opposite question now. What amount of round will be completed in T time? So I want to find what amount of round. So I will write X round. It may be half, it may be one, it may be any value, will be completed in so now I know one round is completed in T seconds or T unit of time. So what is frequency? Frequency is n is equals to 1 by T. So how did we arrive at this formula? So it is by simple unitary method which we learned in 10th and earlier grades. So what is frequency? Frequency is the or it is the round which is completed in a unit time. Like I have told earlier that one round requires T unit of time to complete, or time is equals to time period to get completed. So I'll now ask what amount of round which I'll denote by a X will be completed in a unit time, that is 1 second or 1 minute. Means in general I'm saying in 1 unit time what amount of round will be completed, and that I denoted it by a X. Now we'll find the value of this X. So how do we solve it? We have learnt a concept called as unitary method. Okay, so like suppose you have 5 mangoes in 100 rupees. Okay, so you'll get 2 mangoes in what amount? So this is unitary method, and we are going to apply the similar concept here. So by unitary method we'll get value of X is equals to 1 by T, and this X is nothing but the frequency. Okay, so what is frequency? Frequency is what amount of round or what extent of round or what extent of the circular path do you cover in a unit time. Simple. So what is its unit? Unit is 1 by seconds, that is second inverse. Simple. Okay, now we are going to a next concept, that is relationship between the angular velocity and the linear velocity. You have learned the linear velocity in the earlier classes in motion in 1D kinematics, and now in the starting of this chapter you have learned what is the angular velocity. Now we'll relate what is the relationship between this angular and the linear velocity. Okay, but I want to ask you a question. Does a circular motion possesses both the velocities? And the answer is yes. The circular motion possesses both the velocities. You see a circular motion, but it's not enough to say it has circular velocity only. There's a linear velocity component also. Suppose this is the particle, I know this is performing a circular motion, so it will have omega, that is the angular velocity. but you can't see the linear velocity. But if you draw a tangent to this at this place, what is a tangent? Tangent is that perpendicular line which you draw at any point on the circle which is perpendicular to the radius. So this is the tangent, and this tangent will give you the linear velocity. So this is the linear velocity vector. So I can now say that a circulating or a particle which is performing a circular motion will possess both the angular velocity as well as the linear velocity, and hence finding a relationship between the angular and the linear velocity becomes very, very important. So now we are going to see relationship between the angular velocity and the linear velocity. So I'll write the heading: relation between angular velocity and linear velocity. Now we know angular velocity is given by omega and the linear velocity is given by v. So now we are going to find an expression in which we will relate these both terms. But before starting, I'll ask you a question. What do you think? Does a circular motion performing body has both angular velocity and linear velocity? The answer is yes. Even though you think it's just a circular motion, it will just have an angular velocity component. But don't forget, in angular velocity also, it is made of small parts, and at each and every point you can have a tangential velocity, and that velocity is nothing but the linear velocity. Okay, so now if I have a circle at this point, if the particle is present at point P, as it is performing a circular motion, I know that it will possess an omega. Okay, but if I take a tangential at this point, I also can get a v along the tangent. So I can say that a particle which is performing a circular motion will have two velocities. One is the angular velocity omega and one is the linear velocity v. And now we'll see expression in which we can relate these two terms. Okay. Now I'll draw a circle. Particle again starts from point P. It goes up to Q. Okay. It traverses an angle of delta theta. Its radius is r, and it requires a time delta t. So now I know what I can write an expression. Its arc length is equals to radius into delta theta. This you have learned in the previous topic as well as in your previous grades. Okay. So what is delta S? Delta S is the arc length, that is arc PQ. Okay. So this is the delta S. What we will do is we will differentiate this whole term with respect to delta t. So I'll write differentiating expression 1 with respect to delta t. So what we will get is delta S by delta t is equals to r is a constant, delta theta by delta t. Okay, so now we have got this expression. So this expression is true when delta t is considerable or has a 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. But when delta t is very small, I know what thing to do. I have to put limits such that delta t tends to 0. So now we'll go to put on the limits. So what I have is delta S by delta t is equals to radius delta theta by delta t. So I'll put limits. Limits delta t tends to 0. Delta s by delta t is equals to radius limits delta t tends to 0 delta theta by delta t. Now tell me, by putting limits delta t becomes very small and hence the change in displacement or the change in time is very small, and which is denoted by ds by dt is equals to r d theta by dt. Okay, so this is what you can elaborate the formula. Okay, now we will go to finding out what's more in this formula. So I have formula ds by dt is equals to r d theta by dt. Okay, I know what is s. S is the displacement. What is delta s? Delta s is change in displacement. Okay, when I am dividing delta s by delta t, what does it means? It means change in displacement per unit time, or can I call it rate of change of displacement? And which is displacement? This is a linear displacement. So can I elaborate more and say it is rate of change of linear displacement, and which is nothing but the linear velocity v. So I can replace ds by dt, this whole term, by v. Okay, similarly we'll see what does d theta by dt means. So what is theta? Theta is the angular velocity, angular displacement. Okay, what is delta theta? Change in angular displacement. So when I divide delta theta by delta t, what will it mean? It means that change in angular displacement by change in time. So can I call it rate of change of angular displacement? Yes. And what does it mean? It is omega, that is the angular velocity. So I can replace this whole term d theta by dt with omega. Understood? So this is very, very important. So I'll now write a very new formula. Okay, so initially what was my formula where I started? ds by dt is equals to r d theta by dt. So I know v is equals to ds by dt, and I also know omega is equals to d theta by dt. So I'll replace ds by dt with v, and r remains constant, and d theta by dt, this term is replaced by omega. Understood? So the formula is v is equals to r into omega. This is a simple scalar formula, it's not a vector formula. We will go on to find what is the vector expression. So this formula is very, very important from the numerical point of view. Okay, now I have to find vector form. So what is the vector form? Vector form is this is the vector form of the expression. Velocity vector, linear velocity vector is equals to angular velocity vector into position vector. So I'll in short write what does every term here means. So what is v? So this is the linear velocity vector. What is omega? This is the angular velocity vector. And what is r? R is not radius, it is a position vector. Okay, simple. So in this way we have understood this formula. Okay, so this is the vector form and it will be used in the subsequent numericals to come. Now we'll find or we'll see what is the direction of these different vectors in the diagram. So this is a circular motion, this is a circular path in which the particle is performing circular motion. Suppose the particle is at this point. So first of all, I'll draw a position vector. So what is the direction of position vector? The direction of position vector is from center O to center to the point. Suppose it is at point P. So how you have to draw is, I'll draw it by red marker. So it is directed from the center towards the point. So this is the radius vector or the position vector. Where is the V? Where is V? V is tangential, and tangent is a perpendicular to the radius. So is this a radius? Yeah, this is a radius. And perpendicular to this, I'll draw a velocity vector. Okay, so I can tell that velocity vector and position vector are perpendicular to each other. So I'll write it here. Velocity vector is perpendicular to the radius vector. Now, what is the direction of omega? That is the angular velocity. So the angular velocity lies along the axial direction. Which direction? Axial direction. So what is an axial direction? Axial direction means, if suppose this is a bangle, so axial direction means this direction. So this direction is called as an axial direction, which passes from the center. Okay, so this direction will be called as the axial direction. So this is the omega. Okay, so I can say that the V and R lies in the same plane as this circular path. And second point, I can say this omega lies perpendicular to the plane in which this circular path lies. So can I say that omega is perpendicular to both V as well as R? So I can write omega is perpendicular to V and R. And also I know this thing. So elaborating it, can I write omega is perpendicular to V and that is perpendicular to R?